Hi everyone, I'm Clem. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts and my feelings about the different books that I've read during the month of April. I've read 6 books in the month of April, so I'm pretty happy with myself because I managed to read a lot of books, even though most of them were not like long books, but still I'm happy that I managed to do some reading during the month of April. I've read some amazing books, some that were not as great. So I'm going to start with the first book I've read this month. So if you weren't around on my channel in April, you might not know that I did a reading week. And during a week, I tried to read as many books as possible, and I managed to read 3 books. And the first one I complete was The Mermaid's Voice, written in this one by Amanda Lovelace. So this is the last book in the Women Are Some Kind of Magic poetry collection that Amanda Lovelace wrote, and I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was definitely my least favorite among the 3 I read, mainly because in this one she's talking about on a trauma, and it's something I didn't really see myself like. It didn't really talk to me, even though it's awful what's happening to her, and it was really interesting to read about her trauma and how she managed to deal with them. But I don't know, I was not as invested in the poems and in what she was telling than with the other 2. My favorite one is still the second one because I feel like it's a general subject, it's about feminism. And I don't know, it's still great. I still loved the writing style, but the themes were not my favorite. During this week, I also completed the 3rd volume in the Lochenke series. You know, I've been reading this series since the beginning of the year because I was obsessed with the TV show on Netflix, and so I wanted to read the books. Now I can see there are some stuff that are happening that are very different from the TV show, and I love it because I can finally feel like I'm reading something new and not something I know. So I'm really intrigued with the rest of the series. I think I have 4 or 3 books left. Super excited, super intrigued. I want to know more about the keys they're discovering, and I feel like they're really taking a different road from the TV series. And I want to see what's going to happen to the characters and what's going to happen with the villain. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars also. Also, during this reading week, I've read my favorite book of the month, and it is Sheets by Brenna Tumler. I loved this book. It was really a huge surprise because I wanted to read this book for a long time, and I bought it last month or 2 months ago. And I decided to read it during this week, and it was the best decision of my life because this book is really becoming one of my favorite books of all time. So in this book, you're following, Marjorie, and Marjorie is a teen and she's in charge of the laundromat of a family because her mom died and her father is in depression and he can't work. So she has to take care of the family business, but since she's a teen, no one really trusts her and they think she can't do a real good job. And there's also a man who wants to buy the laundromat in order to create something new, to destroy it, and she doesn't really have a choice than to sell it. But one day she's going to meet Wilson, and Wilson is a ghost, and he escaped from the ghost world because he didn't fit in and he was tired of being there, and he meets Marjorie and they're going to become friends and they're going to try to save a laundromat. This book is a beautiful story about friendship. It almost made me cry. I loved it so much because what I thought was really interesting is the fact that the author is talking about the fact that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. And I loved it because everyone here is judging Marjorie because she's a teen and she's weird, and Marjorie is also judging Wilson because he's a ghost and she's afraid of him at first, and Wilson is judging Marjorie because she's human and he's been told a lot of stupid things about humans, like should be careful around humans because they're scary and they could kill you or stuff like that. So I really liked it. The ending was beautiful, and I was super happy to discover that actually there is a second book in this, actually in this series. I'm going to buy it. I think it's coming out this year, or it's already out. Let me tell you. It's here, March 2021. So it's already out, and I can't wait. I'm going to go buy it. And yeah, also the drawings are super cute, especially the ghost. Like, now I want to get a ghost tattoo somewhere. But I love the reaction, they're just the cutest. So I was really happy with this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. In April, I also managed to complete 2 series, and I'm super happy with myself because it is one of my goals for 2021 to finish as many series as possible. The first one I finished was The Ark of Sight because I read The Toll by Neil Shusterman. I gave this book, I think, 4 out of 5 stars, and it was a good conclusion. Like, I was happy with most of it. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But I was really excited when I started it because the ending of the second book was awful, like a huge cliffhanger. And I didn't really know what to expect because so many things could happen. Like, the story could go into too many different directions. And I liked most of the things that happen in this one. Also, this is a good ending, and by that I mean that in the end of the book, you know that it's the end, like nothing else can happen. I mean, you could do like some sort of a spin-off, but I don't think it will be interesting. Like, you know where all your characters are, like everything is solved, so I was really happy with that. Some things that I didn't really like is that you have a bunch of different POVs in this one, and sometimes you don't get a POV for a long time, and I was a little tired of not reading about a certain character because, like, maybe for like 50 pages you're going to read from the 2 same POVs, and then they're going to bring you one and you're like, okay, what happened for this one? Because there are some time jump, like, and at the beginning it was a little bit hard to understand for me, like where all the characters were they in the same time zone, all those things. And I just wanted some time to read more about this point of view than another one, or to see this action from this point of view and not this one. But still, I enjoyed reading this book. Now, even though I said this was a good ending, the ending, like the last maybe 50 pages, were not my favorite because I feel like it was a bit too easy. I understand why they're doing this and what is the point with all the books I've read and all the world building and the characters development, but like, it's like they resolve everything in 50 pages, and I don't know, I was not really a fan of that. But the book in itself, like in the whole book, was good, just not the last 50 pages. And the second series I finished this month, and it was time for me to finish reading this series because I read Rune and Rising, and so I completed the Grisha trilogy right before the TV series was out, and I'm super happy that I read this one. Now I have read everything and I can read King of Scars, and that's why I read them in the first place, because I really wanted to read King of Scars. Now, I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I had a great time, even though like I had read the first 100 pages 1.5 years ago, so it was a bit blurry, so I had to look some recap online to be like, okay, who are you and what happened to you? But once I had that, it was nice, it was good, even though Mal was here. Like, I don't like him, I really don't like him. And there was not enough Darkling for me. I wanted more of him, especially before dying, because we all know that he dies. And yeah, 2 things that I didn't like, and it's going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, even though I just spoiled you about the death of the Darkling, but I think we can all, like, sorry, okay? But right now it's real spoilers, so if you don't want to hear it, go away and come back when I don't hold this book anymore. The first thing I didn't like was the fact that Mal survived. When we learned that Mal was the last amplifier, I was like, okay, that's interesting, that's something good, because you know that at some point Elena is going to have to take the decision to kill Mal if she wants to defeat the Darkling and to destroy the Fold. And so when this happened during the last battle, I was so happy, even though it was a bit cheesy because I don't care about Mal and Elena. But the fact that they bring him back, I didn't like that, because for me, this was a sacrifice, and sometimes it's good that the people stay dead. Because it would have been interesting after for Elena to live with the fact that she killed a best friend. You know? It's always more interesting, because now, like, she killed him, but it didn't really impact her. Okay, she had to kill her best friend, but he's alive and they can live happy together. But imagine what would have happened to Elena. She would have lost a Darkling who she cared so much for, even though she didn't really want to admit it. And at the same time, she lost a best friend. It would have been amazing. It would have been a real sacrifice. And maybe I would have cared more for Mal. Like, I would have been, okay, dude, you're dead. Like, heart on you and you're dead. But no, he's back, and I'm so mad at Lee Bardugo for, like, bringing him back. I didn't want him to be back. I want him to stay dead. Not because I don't like it, but because I think it would have been more interesting. And something else that I really like this time, I found it was cute, is the epilogue where you're following Elena and Mal as they create this orphanage for all the Grisha and all the orphans, but it's not from their point of view, it's from the point of view of someone you don't know. And I thought it was really cute, because you know who they are, but the person who's telling the story doesn't know who they are or what happened to them, and so there's something he doesn't understand, but you as a reader, you understand, and I like that. So yeah, even though it would have been better if Mal was dead, but yeah. So yeah, it was a good trilogy, not my favorite, but I had a great time. Last but not least, my audiobook of the month was If We Were Villain by M.L. Rio. So this is an adult dark academia mystery thriller murder thing. So I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, like most of it except the ending, and I'm going to go to explain you why in a minute. What I liked about this book was the atmosphere, okay, the mood. It was a dark academia, and I loved it because it's happening in a school. By the way, if you don't know what it's about, it's good if I tell you that. So you're following a group of teenagers, like they're at this school and they're doing theater, but at the beginning it's 10 years after, and you're following the main character, who is Oliver, and Oliver just got out of prison because he was accused of killing one of the members of the group. And so with a detective is going to go back on the story to tell him the truth, because the detective knows that he wasn't the killer, and so he tells you the story of what happened 10 years ago, who's dead and who killed the person. So I really liked the atmosphere. I liked the beginning because I liked the mood. I was in love with a group of friends. They had a dynamic that I loved. And from the beginning, each of them is like a sort of an archetype. Like from the beginning, they tell us that in each play they're doing, they all get the same type of character. So one is always the villain, one is always the femme fatale, the other one is always the hero, one is always like the side character no one cares about, and it pretty much is their personality, so I really liked that. I also liked the atmosphere right after the murder, because everyone is on edge. You don't know who killed the person, and as a reader you're like, maybe it's him, oh no, I'm sure it's him. Like, you keep questioning yourself, you keep like trying to make supposition, but it's never the right one. I really liked it, because really, like, there was so much tension, and I loved that. There are 2 things I didn't like. There is this one character called, let me tell you, Philippa, and I feel like she was not as developed as the other one, even though she's super interesting. For me, I wanted more of Philippa. I feel like she could have been a great character if we saw more of her, but no, she was just there coming by, really doing nothing, and I was disappointed in that. And I'm just going to talk about the ending, so if you don't want to get spoiled, but just before I'm going into the spoilery section, I didn't really like the ending because I don't like who the killer was and why and how the murder happened. This was disappointing for me because I'd rather the killer to be someone else, but it wasn't. So that's why this book is not 5 out of 5 stars. Now I'm just going to go like more in depth about the ending. So if you don't want to get spoiled, then go away until the book is not here anymore. So when you learn that James actually killed Robert, I was disappointed because like I thought his motive was lame. And the very end where Oliver gets the letter of James and where you understand that maybe he's not dead because it said in the newspaper that his body was never found. And so there is this letter where you understand that he faked his death. And so maybe James is not dead and he's just hiding somewhere. And I was like, I don't need to know that James is not dead, that he didn't kill himself because of the guilt. I don't really care. Like, he killed Robert. That was already lame, but the fact that he faked his death was even lamer, more lame. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's why I like didn't give 5 stars to this book, just because of the ending and like the reveal. So that's it for my April wrap up. I know I talk a lot, but I've read really amazing books this month and I really wanted to talk about them, so I did. Don't forget to like this video if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want. Also tell me in the comments down below what you've read, or if you've read any of the books. I would love to know what is your favorite book of the month. I love talking with you, and I will see you next time, everyone. Bye!